Welcome back to the Social Worker Podcast, the space where we highlight the untold stories, the hard conversations, and the real impact of social workers changing lives every single day. I'm your host, Deandra Thomas, and today's episode is powerful, necessary, and timely. We are joined by Dhaima Chin, a licensed clinical social worker, qualified supervisor, and a social work advocate with over a decade of experience working on the front lines of mental health, crisis intervention, child welfare, and community outreach. Dhaima has worked on the front lines of hospitals, state facilities, child welfare, and veteran services, supporting people at their most vulnerable moments. Her mission is clear: suicide prevention through education, early intervention, and empowering mental health professionals, communities to act before lives are lost. This episode is for social workers, clinicians, caregivers, families, and anyone seeking a deeper understanding of what meaningful prevention truly looks like. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. And you are one of the interviews that I feel like every social worker needs, right? Like, you were something that I didn't have fresh out of my master's program or even out of my bachelor's program. Like, you, especially for a person like me, my family is they were immigrants, right? My dad was born here, but my mom, she migrated from the Turks and Caicos. So me and my cousins were like the first generation of graduates. So it was kind of new for me. My family, who are social workers, they went into the medical field. I was the only one who did child welfare because that's the only thing I knew. And I fell in love with it during my internship. So tell us about who you are, because you are something that is needed for every social worker, right? I know that there's social workers all across the world, but everybody needs we call you Dee Dee, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Dhaima Chin, and everybody who knows me as Dee Dee. Yes, I wrote a book called The Social Work Hustle. I really love social work. Since the beginning, I got into social work. I just really love social worker. I think social work is such a hard position to have, right? So you love what you do, you enjoy doing it, and you find fulfillment in it in all times. So I heard you talk about immigrant. Hey, I'm Chinese Jamaican. So again, we know how it is from the culture. So sometimes we just don't talk about things, right? So it's like, well, let's stay quiet. So I think social workers are here to advocate, and we're here to make noise and make it rumble and do what we need to do. So I love it. I love the fact that we're able to do so many things, right? So you started out in child welfare, me too. I love child welfare. That was my jam. However, I realized quickly that I was not making the money that I wanted to make. So I was like, wait, hold up. This is not going to work. I actually used to be a bartender. And so when I was a bartender, I made good money, really good money.
Especially down in South Florida, bartenders do make money. Yes.
So when I realized, like, wait, I could make more money doing my bartender than my degree job, I'm like, wait, something is wrong. I got to change the game. So let's figure out a way to change the game. So I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people, and I was able to figure out what I need to do. So once I figured it out, that's where it led off to. And I had my own private practice. It just blossomed for me. It really blossomed. I did get into medical social work too. So did a lot of work in the community. So really, social work is really about community. So if you have your community, then you're good, right? So I run a Facebook group called South Florida Social Work Connect, and where we connect with all kinds of social workers, walking different walks of life. So it's a great place to network, find mentors, just really get a chance to socialize and engage with people who you probably wouldn't, right? Because if I'm working at a hospital and you're working in, let's say ChildNet, right? You're working somewhere else, I would not be able to engage with you, right? So I'm not able to ask you questions and see what you're doing. So this actually opens the door so we can all socialize. We can all talk about it. We can all say, hey, what's going on with you over there? How are you feeling? What's going on? So I love the check-ins. I love us being together. It gives us a place just to socialize together.
So the way that I stumbled across you when I was at Barry, I graduated from Barry, and I wasn't one of those people who were super into their cohort because I stop, start, finish curriculum, and then still needed hours. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so out of place. Let me just get my degree because I'm just like all over the place, right? Because in social work, we have that a lot of, I think that what I ran into trying to get my clinical hours, a lot of the hours were done between that 9 to 5. But I also need to work because I have a child to take care of, one child at the time to take care of. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? I eventually had to actually leave my job to go and pursue the hours piece. Like I was done with curriculum and I just needed these hours. So when I graduated, I want to say, so I moved to Tallahassee, right? And then I had to move, I moved back to Miami once I had twins. And I was like, what am I going to do with this degree? Like I'm still registered. I'm doing nothing with it. Every time I say I'm going to get my hours, I'm not getting my hours. I'm working under a person who was licensed and never did the paperwork to change the paperwork to have her as my new supervisor. So I did a whole year and I'm just like, Lord, maybe it's this getting licensed is not it for me. Like, and then I was like, you know what? Let me actually do the work. So I reached out to a friend and she was like, she was like, I'm going to refer you to somebody. And then I was like, okay, give me her number. Right. And she's like, I'm also going to put you in this group. How are you going to put me in somebody's group? You didn't even ask permission. You're just about to put me in it. And then I'm like, okay, I didn't even have WhatsApp at the time. So I downloaded it and I clicked it because I'm like, Lord, I hope I'm an introvert, or let me say, I said to myself, like, this is the most I probably came out of my shell. Right. And I'm like, it's like 635 people in here. But then when I joined, it wasn't one of those awkward things where it's like, oh, we have a new member. Tell us about yourself. It was like I was able to slip right into the community and just jump in and get resources and connect with other people. Right. So are you one of the founders of the chat? Because that chat grew huge.
Yeah, that chat you're talking about is Veronica's chat, which shout out to Veronica for making this platform so big, right?
I thought you said
I'm from South Florida Social Work Connect, so I'm with Facebook.
So
mine is a Facebook platform.
Because there's another one. And so I don't know which one she put me in, but she referred me to you. Mm-hmm. She referred me to you, and I will never forget our first phone call. I'm like, okay, found my person. Let's get this process over with. And you stopped me right in my tracks. You was like, no. How do you know I'm the right fit for you? I'm like, what does she mean? That I'm like, how I'm not the right fit? Like, what do you mean? You don't want my money? My money is money. And you was like, no, you have to see like if I'm the right fit. Well, first of all, I'm not even taking people. I was like, well, thanks, Rebecca, for referring me to somebody who's not even taking anybody right now. And you gave me a whole list of people. And like I told someone earlier, I was like, that's when I felt like as a social worker, I got my power back because I used to feel like I had to just take, like, okay, whoever is willing, whoever my busy life, who can accommodate it is what it is. And you were the voice that gave me that power back to tell me like, no, this is an investment for you. You have the ability to negotiate your prices. Don't just settle with, okay, if you can't afford that, say you can't afford that. You don't have to take because they say that's their price. Everything is negotiable. And I'm like, man, I learned so much in 15 minutes of talking to somebody who's not even my supervisor, who just declined me. So tell me about that. Like, how did you get to that? Because that's a lot.
And don't get me wrong, I love supervision. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love supervision. I think this is one of the empowerment pieces that you can. Once you get your LCSW, 2 years later, you become a supervisor. So this is your chance to really make change, right? Mm-hmm. So being a supervisor is one of my things that I really, really enjoy doing. However, I don't take everybody on my list. And the reason why is because there's just like we have different folks for different strokes, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that that is a good fit for you. So whether I'm full or not full, because some people say, oh, I want to stay on your waiting list. I'm like, okay, but I think, so after talking to them, I usually give them 15 minutes. Let's talk. Let's talk about what is it you want to do. Let's talk about what is it you want to do. What do you want to learn? Because I want to make sure you do. I want you to make sure you're making an investment. That's why I tell all social workers, you're making an investment in your future. So you want to make sure that you're making a good investment, that you can reap the rewards at the end of the day. That I can say, yes, I was there for 2 years and I learned A, B, and C, and D, right? I don't want to be in a class for 2 years and not learn anything. Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. I just wasted 2 years of my time, my money, my energy, right? So people think investment is just money. No, it's way more than money, right? Because if I'm spending 1 hour a week with you, hey, I hope you're getting something. I'm pouring into you for that 1 hour, right? Yes, you're giving me money, but I want to pour into you, make sure you're learning something. You're getting more knowledge that you left with, right? Mm-hmm. So you're leaving with something that's valuable that you can take with you anywhere you go. So that's the goal of how we do supervision, right? So we make sure that we do individual supervision. So we get any kinks, any problems, anything that you're dealing with, so hopefully ethical issues, right? Try to calm down the storm, whatever storm that you're going through for the week. Because, at our workplace, we do have those storms. So when do you get a chance just to woosah? So I know a lot of people prefer, I want to get supervision free from my job. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that the best investment for you? Mm-hmm. Right? So if you're at a job, let's say child welfare, and you're getting supervision from child welfare, and when I leave, I'm going to go in child welfare, then yes, that's a great investment. Free supervision, you're good. But if you say, hey, no, I actually don't. This is not a field I want to do. I want to actually do private practice. Then you might need a different supervisor. You need a supervisor that you specialize in. So even the other day, I got a phone call. Young lady was pleasant. And she said, I want to do EMDR. And I said, trauma therapy. She's like, yeah, I love trauma. Da, 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 da. I am not the supervisor for you because I don't do trauma, right? So you want to find who's your match. And that's what I did. I said, give me 1 second. I'll find 3 people that deal with trauma therapy and they'll be the ones to supervise you and they'll help you out with your trauma journey so you can learn from them. And it's better you have a mentor that's your supervisor that you can really grasp from. You can learn some key skills. Because again, textbook is textbook, but really the work really happens when you learn, right? When we're together, real experiences happen. You fall, you stumble, you pick yourself up and say, oh gosh, this happened. So we can move forward together.
So that's like the beauty of it. And I don't know how your makeup works, right? I don't know how you do what you do because you wear many hats, you do so much, right? And like my supervisor was referred by you, but I'm also able to benefit from your group supervision. And one thing that I've learned along this journey was that like I had to call people and tell them like, do you know you can do group supervision? People who's like, oh, you have to meet like she's not even my direct supervisor, but I have the ability to attend group supervision, and her and my supervisor have a rapport, and they're like really figuring out what works for them and not burning each other out and holding each other's hand and help, like, you know, social work they have this saying that there's a lot of money out there for everybody, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've loved about you, right? Like you didn't have to say that, but when you see and you watch people, like you show up in group supervision intentional, you come with information. It's not just like, okay, we're going to come here and let's talk about whatever's going on in the world. We touch on whatever's going on in the world, but it's so well thought out. It's so calculated. It is, you don't come in unprepared. And if you can't show up, you have somebody step in. It's not okay, I'm sick, I'm going to, like even today, right? You were sick and you had somebody step in, and she came in and she like rocked out for our test prep. So it's like all of these things, right? And that's one of the, and I was just speaking to somebody about this, that social work, we help everybody, right? We pour into everybody, but we turn around and forget to pour into ourselves. Like we are great advocates for everybody else except ourselves in every aspect. And then we turn around and don't even turn around and help the people that we work along with. And I think that you're a person, and I've met a lot, like one thing that I've loved, that everybody that I've sat on this couch is so open to networking, and people don't see like all of the hard work that we do, because like social work is like one of those hidden gems. Like, you know, they have the nurses, they have the doctors who's on front line, and social workers, we're here, but we're not really advocating for our title. We're not really speaking up for ourselves. It was something like we were touching base earlier, as when it was COVID, social workers, or I was a child welfare worker, and we weren't deemed as essential workers at the time. I wanted to say that daycare was free for essential workers during COVID. And because at that time I was still a case manager, but I don't think we qualified for free daycare, or maybe I didn't say, I don't want to say that we didn't or we didn't, but I know that people did not view social workers as frontline workers. But I was in the trenches in COVID, caught COVID, being a child protective investigator, still going into homes. So it's like one of those things though, where if we don't advocate for ourselves, who will? So what made you transition into being like this advocate, to where you said like, you know what, it's bigger than the private practice, it's bigger than just test prep, but I want to pour into other social workers? What was that process like for you?
Well, that was just my journey. My journey was, I didn't have anybody to lean on. I was just like, I'm out here just navigating the world in myself. And I'm like, wait, this isn't right. I was like, once I passed the test, my goal is, and I see Veronica the same way. Once she passed the test, she's like, I want to give back, right? So we all want to give back. So our goal is definitely to give back. So at the end of the day, once I passed my test, that was it. I was like, let's go. Even we got to do free classes. I was doing free classes. People who know me from My old crew knows me, right? So we go to the library, we at my house, we be everywhere studying for this test. And several of them passed the test. So after that, my mentor was like, no, you got to start charging. I'm like, okay, because this is way than, I started out small with a small cohort, like 7 people, and then 7 people passed, and then 10 people, and then 20 people told about me. And so I had a whole big room in the library, and I was like, wait, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I got to figure out another plan. So that was when Test Prep Central was born. So went ahead and did that, and again, overwhelming results for the community, and again, able to pour back into social workers who need help and just need that extra help, right? Because I tell people all the time, if I knew what I knew today, I would have stopped. I was hustling too hard without my license. I was doing everything else. Let me get another job. Let me do this. Let me do that. I would stop and just say, just study. Stop what you're doing. Stop fluffing it up. Actually pull out your books. Study. Eat, sleep. Just study, right? Just study. Do it for 3 months like you're on a diet. Just really study and put all your all into it, and you will get the results that you need. I failed it, I want to say like by 4 points, and I was just like, I can't do it no more. I'm not going to do it again. And I went back, less than, and at that time you had to wait the 90 days. So I went the 90 days and I took it and I passed it. And I was like, okay, I never want anybody to feel alone like this again. So even it makes me happy to see a whole bunch of people in my study class. I even reach out to people, they could testify. I reach out to people personally. I'm texting them, hey, what's going on? I didn't see you do your homework. What's going on? So sometimes you need that extra push, like, ooh, she's watching me. Wait, let me hold up. I got to do this homework because she's saying, why you didn't do my homework? I don't understand what happened. Why you didn't do the homework? What happened here? This assignment you got, a low grade. Do you need extra help? Do you need me to hold your hands? Because some people do. Some people need that whole hand, right? And some people don't. Some people like, I got it. I know my stuff. I got it. I'll meet you in class. And some people say, no, I need that extra help. I need that support. So for me, even if they don't take my class, I'm always a supportive person for them. So I'm here to hold a hand. If they say, hey, I'm having a career move, I want to change jobs. All right, let's talk about it. Let's have a 5 minutes conversation, 10 minutes conversation. Let's talk about what is it that you need, right? Is your job fulfilling you anymore, right? What does that look like, right? So I hear a lot of people ask questions, and I'm like, hey, don't pick a supervisor that you don't trust. But if I can't trust you, why would I pick you, right? I trust you. Let's talk about some things. Again, it shouldn't be therapy, right? So I have a therapist who this is who I talk about stuff with, my therapist. But then I also have my supervisor who I'm like, hey, this happened and I don't know if it's ethical. Tell me, what should I do? What would you do if you were in my shoe? The doctor is telling me to do this. I think it's unethical. What's the next plan, right? But so you have somebody in your corner, you can kind of bounce ideas off, and I think that's perfect. And that's what I always wanted to do. So I said, once I get my license, I'm going to change the game. We're going to change the game with supervision. We're going to change the game how we do supervision. If we need help, other supervisors who I talk to, all the other supervisors, you can ask them. They're my friends, right? So I call them up, hey, because it's enough money for everybody. So I can say, hey, I'm going to send you a client. Even if I'm going to send you a supervisee because I think she'll be really good for you. She has this and she needs this, and you have what she needs. And this is the good fit for you. So that's why usually I give that 15 minutes conversation and say, hey, tell me what you need. Oh, I want to do criminal justice. I want to do immigration. I have the perfect supervisor for you. Let me connect you with this person because she does immigration. Let me connect you with this person because she does private practice. Let me connect you. So I'm usually a connector, right? Trying to connect everybody with the right person. So sometimes the right person is for me, and sometimes I'm like, no, somebody else can deal with that right person because I want them to get the best supervision possible. I never want you to be with a supervisor who, I don't like this, or I'm not getting what I need out of it, right? So we want you to get everything you need out of it. So when you leave in those 2 years, you're well equipped and saying, I can fly, right? I can open my own practice. I can do what I want to do. I can, if I want to be a director, leadership, whatever I decide I want to do. If I want to go to Tallahassee and advocate and do whatever, I can do all things because my supervisor has equipped me with the tools that I need in my toolbox. So I'm ready to roll.
So when I did my first year of when I graduated and I did my first hours, I was able to stay on with the person that I was interning with up until it was time for me to move to Tallahassee. So it was like one of those, okay, once it's time for me to get a new supervisor, where do I go from here? Because I was one of those people who didn't build a network at that time. Like I didn't have a network of, okay, like what's next? I know that I'm ending it here. And, and I always had the ability to reach out to my supervisor at the time because and even till this day, we still stay connected and things because I feel like social workers, you just always have that connection because it's just when you're in this field, you're drawn for your heart. We know the money is stuff that comes along after the fact, but if you're drawn here, it's because you genuinely want to help. Whether it's the people you work with, whether it's the clients that we serve in the population, is something that we continue to do on a day-to-day, basis. But with the biggest thing that there's a big misconception or stigma that social workers don't make money, right? So I want to and one thing about it is it goes into the book that you brought me, The Social Work Hustle.
Yes.
Let me show you guys the
Ooh.
book. Yes. So, and turquoise, it's one of my favorite colors.
Hey.
So let's talk about the social work hustle and what that is.
And it's so funny you asked me that question because I wrote this book, so many years ago. However, everything still stayed true because, like, again, I told you, I didn't have that mentor. I didn't have somebody I could say, what should I do here? Or what can I do here? How can I navigate this? What do I need? Do I need a business license? What can I do if I decided to start a private practice? I didn't know who to ask. And everybody I asked, they were like, okay, well, we're going to charge you. And I'm like, I don't have any money right now. Like, I didn't make the money yet. So I'm trying to get the money, right? So I'm trying to get this money. So I realized and said, okay, this book is needed. So this book was written for people who came out of school and like, hey, I don't know what to do next. What is my next step? What can I do? So in the book, I talk about travel, social work. I touched on things that people like, right now we hear all the time, right? But some things we never heard of. So I was just like, I didn't know we can do that. I didn't know we can do insurances. I didn't know we can do EAP work. I didn't know we can, which is employee assistance program work. So I mean, I like so many things I didn't know that social workers can do. Social workers can work in tech. So I just didn't know this. I was just like, what? We can do that too? Yeah. Oh, and we can do that too? I mean, most social workers don't even know that once they get their LCSW, do 2 years of supervision, they can actually go back to school take 2 more classes, and they could supervise, because I supervise mental health counselors and marriage, family, and therapists. So I have all 3 underneath my belt that I supervise, right? So again, you can broaden whatever you want to broaden, you can do it. But people just don't know. Like, you don't know where to go to get that information. So that's why I thought the book was so great, because I'm like, hey, if you need help, this book is helpful for you. It has a part for self-care. It has a part what to do next. It has a part to, hey, I'm a supervisor now. How do I navigate the world of supervision, right? How do I navigate the world of private practice? What do I need to start my private practice, right? What do I need to get out there in the world? So again, the book is really helpful if it's your first time, you want to make sure you get the book so you can definitely figure out, hey, maybe this is a starting point where I need. It asks you questions. It makes you really reflect and think about it.
Because that's one of those, it's like where reality meets the real world, right? Like after we graduate, it's like, what's that next step? And your book, I'm very eager to read. I'm in my reading season, right? And it's like one of those things where knowledge is power, right? Your book sounds like it's a knowledge hub, right? Years of experience in a book where it's like somebody has already, I'm a firm believer in, if somebody's already walked the road of fire, I don't have to walk the road. I'm just going to ask you what your experience was, because I'm not trying to get burnt, right? And then you have the people who want to go through the process and get burnt. But if there's ways to help put you ahead, then by all means, you invest into that. Like even with the study group that you have, right? Like one of the things that, like I said, intentional, like prior to the class starting, it was a whole thing of curriculum. Even your rules, I was like, what is Dee Dee talking about? Like, don't tell nobody when you're I'm like, what's she talking about? Finds an accountability partner. It made me pick up the phone and think about, like, you had thought-provoking things on there. To you, I don't know whatever inspires you to write that there, but it's one of those things where you answered the call, right? It was one of those things where you said, okay, let me set out a list of rules. And for me, that one of the rules that you had me pick up the phone and call my cousin and be like, where are you with your licensure journey? Like, I'm about to get ready to buckle down and test. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not pursuing it? Like, you're so close, because I know you have what are you missing? And then I was able to connect her with my supervisor. And it's just like one of those things where sometimes the little details may seem so small to us, but you don't know what answering the call may be for others. Like, we all have so much that we can learn from. Like, this book is about to put me so far ahead, because every day, and that's what I love about social work, we're breaking barriers. We're not doing just, I'm a child welfare advocate, social worker at heart. I'm here by choice, not because I have to be. I always tell people I do child welfare because that's where my heart is, right? I have an aunt who's a facility administrator who refuses to come sit on my couch because she's like, I'm a social worker, yeah, but I don't do cameras, so no, you'll just always have me in the back to support you. But it's one of those things where it's like social workers, we really have the ability to pivot whenever.
Definitely.
Like today, the guy that I interviewed earlier, he was telling me about social workers in NFL, social workers who are really out there meeting professionals, because I think sometimes we get caught up in forgetting that everybody has a life outside of a profession. Yes. And as social workers, we get to meet these people in every area of their life, whether that's in a professional setting, whether that's in a personal setting. We get to walk them through and hold their hands. Like you said, that tech, social work is breaking that tech thing. And one of, and I love my ChatGPT, but in those areas, this has been my thing. Like ChatGPT just can't replace social workers. That's just my thing because I've seen it, right? It's technology. They say technology will fail us, but as social workers, like we chose this field for a reason, right? Just like nurses chose their field for a reason, doctors chose their profession for a reason. That has been one of the key things. And the work that you do is so important, right? Because there's million people who's out here just trying to navigate, from high school students to college students. So even when you get your bachelor's, your master's, and you're just lost and you're like, okay, I invested so much into this. What's next? Yes. Right. So I just want to thank you for that, and because a lot of people, with all that you do, right? You created this book, but then you also have your own private practice, right? Let's talk about your private practice.
My private practice name is Miami Gardens Counseling. I love. That's one of my, oh my gosh, I love doing private practice. And I love seeing the change in my clients. I deal with anxiety and depression. I actually, shout out to Barry, because I have a lot of students from Barry. I have like 6 students from Barry. I love Barry. They are awesome, amazing.
That's my alma mater.
Hey. So again, I just think, it's really making a difference in so many people's lives. I can see the clients when they first come in, maybe not 100%, and then at the end, able to close it up and really close that gap that they need, the help that they need in their life. So it really is life-changing. I'm able to make some changes in the world, and I just love it.
So do you see clients as well, or you have therapists under you and they see them, or is it a mixture of both?
When I first started, I was a solo practitioner when I first started, because I didn't know how to navigate the game. And I learned very quickly that I need some people helping me, right? So, I love the clientele, but I was like, I need some help. So I got to hire some staff that came on board, and they are definitely just life-saving. So I really, really appreciate it. They are just the world.
So what are some of the things, right? What are some of the next steps for Dee Dee?
Ooh, that's a great question. Shout out to my business partner, Lita. We are doing some big things. I think this dream is bigger than me. It's like, oh my gosh. Definitely trying to open up. I will. Let me speak in this. I will open a community mental health center. So that's our goal. We are approved by Medicare and Medicaid already. So again, it's a lot of hoops that when you don't know, you don't know, right? So I'm learning the structure and the game and whatever they need to teach me. I'm learning it so I can do it the proper way, because we want to make sure everything is ethical and we're doing everything properly. So we're following rules and procedures. So we're just on our way to making some new stuff happen, some new journeys happen in life.
And so you said something about ethics, right? That's one of those things that I want to touch on, right? As a social worker, right?
Yes.
When we feel like the time clock's ticking, right? We feel like the time clock is ticking and, okay, I just graduated and I need a job. And the biggest piece, right, is that this is a license that can be taken away from us, right?
Yes.
If you do not, and that's something that I've learned throughout our supervision, through group supervision, hearing the stories where people had to go and defend their license because of an ethical violation. Things that, I think so sometimes on our day-to-day we can get so caught up, right, with working that we forget that we still have a code of ethics as social workers.
Yes.
Because when you get out of, when you graduate and you go into whatever discipline you want to do, whether that's substance abuse, child welfare, hospital, we still have a code of ethics that we have to follow as social workers. But then we have a company that we're working working for that may not be founded by a social worker, right? So for new professionals, how do you help them navigate and learn and defend that in a field where we're taught in school one thing, but then when you go and work for different agencies, you're also being taught something that's contrary.
Yeah. And I think it boils down to knowledge, right? Your knowledge, experience. And that's why it's really key to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. So again, if you're saying, hey, I think this is unethical, then maybe I need to contact another social worker, if not my supervisor, contact another social worker and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Let's talk about where is it on the code of ethics, right? So a lot of times people ask me about supervision and say, oh, well, where does it say? I say, wait, let's pull up you ask me a question, let's pull up the code, let's pull up the codes and let's see what this says about supervision and how much supervisors you can have and how many hours you have to do. I pull it up right there for them, so I let them see. So again, it's really about having that education, having that knowledge, because then even if your supervisor is not a social worker, you can educate your supervisor and say, hey, this is unethical to do because my code of ethics says blah, 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 blah. Oh, I didn't know that, right? So you're educating your employer sometimes because maybe they are from a different discipline, so they really haven't heard that before. So again, it's really about everybody knowing cross board what they need to do, because your license is your license. You can lose I always tell people, don't lose your license before you get it, right? Come on now, let's get the license first, right? Let's get it. It's really, it's easy to lose, but hard to get. So when we get that license, we want to make sure that we're taking it with care, right? We're able to protect the public. So it's really about protecting the public. How are we protecting the public? In what ways we're doing that? So we want to really stern on, okay, how if we need help, so if we as social workers need help, then we need to stop, take a minute, get therapy, get whatever it is we need, get that help. Let somebody else pour into us, get full, and then we could come back into the game, right? But we have to make sure that we're checking on ourselves first. We're the first line of defense, and we need to make sure when we're feeling off, when we're a little off balance, hey, wait, maybe I need a self-care. Maybe I need to take a day off, right? Maybe I need to take some FMLA. Do whatever is good for you, right? I tell everybody, mental health is so important. And I think sometimes we minimize it, especially because we have that cape on. I'm Superwoman. I could do everything. Oh my gosh. I don't want people to think I'm less than. I don't want people to think I'm not enough, right? So I take on all this stuff on my back and wait. Let's take a minute to pause. Let's ask for help, right? Help is there, but we have to just know what kind of help we need so we can get the help that we need.
That's so key, because and the reason I believe in transparency, right? Like, this is, like I say, it's one of those conversational pieces where it's real life as social workers, as social work professionals, right? Because it's kind of like, as social workers, we're always moving, shaking. Everything's so fast. And then, like, recently I was just I'm like, Lord, I'm having heart palpitations. What's going on? And I was like, wait, oh, my blood, I forgot I'm anemic. Like, let me go to the hospital. Now I have to be admitted for a blood. Like, those are the things where, like, we do so much work, right? We're showing up for everybody, but we turn around and neglect ourselves. And you said something so key, like, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to self-care. Like, you don't have to, I don't want to call out. I don't want to miss out on my clients. But in order to be the best version of yourself and show up for your clients, you have to make sure you're recharged. You have to make sure that you are not all over the place, because you can only be as good as, you can only provide good care if you are providing good care to yourself.
Yes.
So I was like, I had to, like, pause and say, let me take a day off. I mean, I told them I'm gonna build my iron myself, but like, my own personal reasons. But it's one of those things where I had to check out for a second, forget work, forget all of my other responsibilities, and hone into yourself. Yes. It doesn't make us selfish. That doesn't make us a bad social worker. That just means that in order for me to do what I need to do for you, I need to do what I need to do for me first. Yes. And that's one of those things that, supervision is like, at first I didn't understand the reason for supervision, right? Like, I'm like, okay, it's like the needle's moving every time. You go to school, you get your bachelor's, get your master's. Now you get your master's. Now you have to do 2 years before you can even sit for you. No, first it was you can take your test right after you graduate. Now is no, you can't take your test right after you graduate. You gotta wait and get this amount of hours, then take the test. I'm like, okay. But then I had to realize, right, that I was trying to rush the process. But it's a story, there's a journey, there's a learning experience through this process, because I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about the career field. Those 2 years, like, it didn't make sense to me, because I'm just ready to make this money. Like, let's make this money, because I have a $100,000 degree here. Let's make this money. But in reality, the journey has taught me that everything is key. These 2 years that you had to sit down and listen to other social workers, learn and connect with people who have been where you're trying to go, it can only set you up to go higher. Like, I met my supervisor, right? She introduced a whole nother world to me of social work, insurance. You know, when you hear as a child welfare worker, oh my gosh, hearing $70,000, that's how much you're making doing insurance. Yeah, and you're working from home and you're doing this. You're like, where is this? I don't see it. And it was, it's not under social work terminology, but it's social work.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to invest into your future. And social work has given us, I believe that it has forced us to take on that onus, not just get your degree, but learn the field you're in, learn more about yourself, learn more about the population, so that you can do better for the population that you serve. Because and one thing that I'm loving, and I want to say by the grace of God, is because of you, that when I moved back into South Florida, it was a different approach for me. I started to network with more people. And didn't know it wasn't, I don't know who chat, because that ain't Veronica chat either. Now I'm like, after this, I'm gonna go look to see who chatted my end.
Edith chat.
It's somebody's, but it's like so many people in there, right? And it goes back to the knowledge that I didn't have, right? As a social worker, I just got a degree, and it's like, thank you, Barry, for the time. I'm finally done. I'll figure it out. And I still had to go back to, like, there is no shortcut. You have to soak in, like, all of that experience, because it's necessary. If I didn't go through this process, and I'm just so glad that that 15-minute phone call that you did with me changed the trajectory for me, because I was like, I just wasted a whole year. I could have been licensed. And I was like, everything happened so quick. In Tallahassee, I moved. When I looked up, it's time for me to leave. I'm like, wow, I could have sat for the test. And I was like, no, because I didn't go through the process. I tried to skip the process and still had to go back through the process. And in that, I learned so much about I'm like, people having to defend their license, go before the board, and all of these different conventions for social work. And I'm like, wow, social work is so huge. Like, and even then, like, even hearing the social work field and the different things, and learning from different social workers in those group settings. Like, I think one thing that I've taken away from this process with you, for any supervisor who's doing, and I mean, it's not my place. I'm not a supervisor. I stay in my lane, but it's just what I've seen just through this process is you found a way to help other supervisors not burn out. You like, okay, you do your supervision. Let's maximize what the law says, what our code of ethics says. You get 4 hours, 2 hours of supervision individual, and 2 hours that you can do group. Yes. I had to call everybody and be like, do you know you can do this? I didn't know this, yes, right? And I was like, I don't know how you're going to get into my own, but I'm just letting you know, whoever your supervisor is, maybe this is something that they need to connect with other supervisors and start, so that we don't burn out, right? Because the truth of the matter is we wear heavy work, right? And this is what you're going to help us end off with, is self-care, because you do so much. I don't know how you do it all, right? Like, you're a mom. Yes. You are a social worker. You're like a supervisor. You wear so many different hats. How do you stay balanced in all of this?
Ooh, I have my vibe. I have a whole tribe that's behind me, and I can rely on them whenever I need them. So that is the main part. The main part is that you have to have your tribe, that your village, to help you out whenever you need help. So my village is always there to help me out. My village is not just my family; it's my social work friends too, because I call them and vent all the time. This what happened, right? So you have to figure out, but you have to make time for yourself. Just like we tell our clients all the time, boundaries, and make time for yourself, and I practice what I preach. I actually do make time for myself, and like, right, hold up, I need a day.
Dee Dee's not teaching today. Oh my gosh, where's Dee Dee? Like, who told her to take time off?
I know. Like, where's Dee I'm like, don't worry, I got you covered. Don't worry. So yeah, but at the end of the day, you really want to figure out, hey, if you're not your 100%, then like I said, people around you start to notice, wait, what's going on? So even with me, I know my limit is 6. I cannot take more than 6 clients a day. If I have 6 clients, no, that's it. Yeah, but you have a 2 o'clock stop. I can't take any more clients. I don't want to get burnt out. I know my limit, you know your limit, and that's what I want to do. And I'm comfortable and happy and joyful in my life, right? So again, with private practice, you kind of make your own schedule the way you want to do it. You see the clients that you need to see that benefit you. When I first started, I didn't know it, right? I didn't know. I'm like, oh, we got to hustle this money. You got to do all this. No, you matter first. Let's make sure you're okay first, and then you can help all the people around you. And I always tell my interns this all the time: you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So I have to make sure my cup is full and it's running over, so you can get the rest over, right? The other cups, my family can get them from the other cups, but I have to make sure I'm okay first. And once I'm okay, then everybody else is okay. Yeah. But you got to make sure that you're okay, and that's why I tell every social worker when I ask it all the time, what are you doing for your self-care? Let's figure out what that looks like. Because self-care looks different we throw the word self-care around all the time, but it looks different for different people, right? So me playing my music loud and dancing and jamming, that's my self-care. Like, hey, I love that, right? So again, going to church, right? And then pulling from your higher power, your strength. That might be your self-care. Like, hey, if I miss church, then my whole week is off, right? So you want to figure out what's your self-care and then make it a priority. Whatever that self-care, hey, I got to make it a priority. So maybe I won't have clients on Sunday because I need to make sure that I'm okay. Right? So you figure out, so really, I love the fact that you said your commitment, your dedication. I love that. I love the fact you're like, yeah, I got to go through this. So I love it, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about you learning yourself. And the more you learn yourself is the more that you can help others.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've learned along this process is knowledge is power. Yes. And you have so much knowledge. It's so crazy that you said, and that's answering the call. That's been also one of my key things in this season of answering the call. There was somebody that I spoke to who is they opened up someplace in Fort Pierce, a substance abuse facility, an inpatient, and I was just when she gave a little bit of her testimony or what inspired it, I'm just answering the call. And I kid you not, I was driving and talking to my husband, and I was like, I know in Broward they have the Henderson behavioral health, the big mental health. Where's that in Miami? We don't have that in Miami. So you're answering the call, and it's one of those things where it's you're taking the necessary steps, right? Because we can only go as far as we see. You see an issue, you see a niche, identify it, maximize off of it. And I know you're going to do so well with this mental health center. You already did your private practice, and it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger because Miami needs it, right? I don't know, maybe there is, like I said, I'm still learning the world of social work. Every day I learn something new, right? But when I worked in Broward, that short little period of time, I'm like, oh, Henderson, I found out that was the biggest behavioral health, mental health thing in Broward, right? And I was like, so I was just in my, what's Miami's home? Where's ours? So I just love the fact that you're filling in that gap and you are closing that gap, because I think that we suffer because of the lack of resources. The Bible says that our people perish due to a lack of knowledge. And I feel that's what happens within our community when we don't have social workers who are answering a call. It may be small to you, or you may not know how you're going to get it done. But like you said, shout out to your business partner, because what you lack, she's picking up. Yes. They're connecting you with the resources to get you the help that you need. So for my advice to social workers, right? The podcast for me, it was just a dream that I'm okay, God, this is what I want to do, but how am I going to get it done? And then it was step by step. So if you have a vision, right? Social work is so big and it's not going anywhere. Don't think that you're stepping on somebody else's toes. One thing that I love about social work, you and Veronica, both are doing test prep. Both of you guys are doing it your own different ways. I speak to both of you guys. So I hear, I'm dang, there's so much money out here for everybody. Nobody's gatekeeping. They're oh, if you can't do in person, Veronica's like, I know a person who does virtual. Like, that's how we grow as a population, because if we don't advocate for ourselves, right, who will? And that's why the purpose of me having you here on this, and I think season 1 was just more so I wanted to just take a moment to reflect on our social workers, right? Remembering that in this busy field that we work in, it's okay to check in on your counterpart. It's okay to check in with your cohort. It doesn't have to end at graduation. It doesn't have to end in the group chat. You can connect beyond your individual group supervision, because your network is your network. The only way you'll grow is if you continue to meet, because everybody has something to offer, you know. So I want to thank you for joining me on the Social Worker podcast. Before we wrap up, I wanted to know, is there anything that I forgot to mention that you want to cover?
Oh, no, I think you covered a great deal of information. I just want social workers to know that there is help out there. If they need the help, there is help out there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what I think the main thing is.
And you know, I didn't want to cut you off, and before we conclude, because this is, like I said, this is going to be, you're concluding our season 1, right? And there's no way that as a profession we cannot touch on the tragedies that have taken place within our community. And just knowing the importance. This is something that you've always taught us in group supervision, right? I never forget one of the stories you told us about. Don't think that once you close the door that you have to set those boundaries, because at the end of the day, we have a family to go home to. You told us about a story where law enforcement was at somebody's door because of a case that they worked years ago, right? So I just wanted you to leave social workers with something regarding their safety, their protection. I want to say there's been like 2 casualties within the span of 3 months for social workers. We deal with a tough population, right? We deal with people from child welfare to who are in their vulnerable moments, to therapists who are dealing with people who have co-occurring disorders. They have mental health disorders, and we're not closing our doors to them, right? But I want social workers to remember that your safety is paramount. So I want you to touch on that, because you are the expert in this room. So I want you to just, before we leave, I want you to end on that note and talk to us about that.
Yeah, definitely. And in my office, we were so laid back, like, oh, this is nothing, laid back. And then you hear a tragedy and you're like, whoa, wait, hold up. We need to make sure I'm implementing some safety precautions and safety procedures, right? So even when I used to work at ChildNet, I came in, I had on some heels the first day, and they was like, where are you going, man? I'm like, what do you think this is, right? I learned quickly that we put on some low flats so you can run if you need to run and do what you need to do.
The way you park your car, you better back park into these people. Don't even pull in their driveway. You better be ready to run out. Yeah,
exactly. So little stuff like that, you kind of take for granted, like, hey, I've been here, so this kind of is a wake-up call for all social workers. So like, hey, make sure you protect yourself. I know sometimes we still think we're really lax with clients, right? But remember, they're clients. They're not our friends. They're clients. So we need to make sure that we protect ourselves in all manners, right? I had a colleague, because when this happened, I was like, what's going on? And my colleague was like, hey, I have pepper spray with me, right? I won't say any names. My Carrie, she
HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, she carries on her. She carries her gun with her. So it's like, hey, you got to do it to protect yourself and your family. Because at the end of the day, like I tell everybody, you matter, right? You matter. So your goal is to go home with, no matter how much you want to help everybody else, you have to go home to your family, right? You have a family you have to go home to. So we want to make sure that we're taking stuff in precautions, taking care of yourself. So in our office, we have a buzzer to buzz you in. We'll make sure we have cameras there. We have a ding dong so we can know if somebody else is in the office. So again, taking precautions to make sure you keep yourself safe, right? And the people around you safe. So even with us, we don't have anybody after hours being by themselves. There's always going to be 2 people there. So hey, maybe somebody will walk you out the door before you leave, so you don't feel like you're alone or by yourself. So again, these are things we just want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. And again, it's weird to hear social workers have to do this, because my whole career, I was like, oh, whatever. But now it's really getting serious.
It's getting, it just hit me, right? Even when we were talking, I forgot, because again, as social workers, we're just always moving. As a child welfare worker, I was a case manager, and I was like 8 months pregnant with my son, and I was getting ready to go out on leave. And I will never forget, I was sitting outside in Liberty City in front of somebody's home waiting to do a home visit, because I'm just like, I did all of my home visits in the same area. And I guess I was sitting there too long. And as I pulled off and I said, I'm just going to go home, a car pulled up on the side of me and pulled out a gun on me. And I guess they were like washing my car because I had tints at the time, right? And I'm just like, in my mind, it was like one of those fight, flight, or freeze moments. And I'm just like, let me drop my window because it can be a mistaken identity. Clearly, they think I'm a threat. Let me put my window down. So I put my window down. They seen who I was, and then they drove around. And it was one of those moments where I was like, this is one of those things. And they said, when you go in, go out. Yes. But it was one of those things where, you don't want to, you're just trying to find your shortcuts. I'm like, I'm not trying to drive back to the city. I'm already here. Let me get everything done. But it was one of those things where I put my safety in jeopardy by not following the rules that were laid out for me. It was something that was advised against, but because as a social worker, we think we got this all figured out, right? We think that, it can't happen. It's not that serious. No, now I realize you have to be vigilant. Like, these are things that are happening, and my heart goes out to the families who had to experience that loss, because like you said, this is not something that's common within our population, but it can happen. So I want to thank you for touching on that and leaving us with all of these gems, right? So if you need to connect with Dee Dee, I will put all of her information inside of the box where you can get her book at. Let me just show it one more time before we go. I'm excited to read it.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Today's conversation was more than a podcast episode. It was a reminder that social workers are not just helpers, not just support staff, not just nice people with good hearts. We are clinicians, leaders, educators, entrepreneurs, and gatekeepers of hope. And we can sit with someone in their most darkest moments that build systems that can prevent the next crisis. We can advocate for others, ourselves, our own worth, and we can save lives and secure the bag ethically, unapologetically, and sustainably. Dhaima's journey shows us that impact doesn't require sacrifice of ourselves. It requires clarity, confidence, and courage to keep going. If you're listening or questioning whether there's more for you in this field, this is your confirmation. More purpose, more influence, more income, more balance. And to anyone struggling right now, help is always available. You matter, your life matters.